Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So, you can hear the Sikhs standing outside No.10 Downing Street, protesting. What are they protesting about? I want to bring up just 5 things about this case, about Professor Bhullar, right? The fact is, these 5 things will make it clear this is no longer an issue which is just about Sikhs versus the Indian government. This is an issue of law. First one is a presiding judge out of the 3 judges in the Supreme Court that convicted by Professor Bhullar actually acquitted him. So 2 out of 3 judges went for it, but the presiding judge said no, he's actually free to go. But he was ruled over by the other 2. The second point is a public prosecutor that prosecuted Professor Bhullar agrees with that judge that acquitted him, that he should have not been convicted of this case. Why did they say this? The very important point here, why would the judge and the public prosecutor say this guy is not guilty? The fact is that he's been convicted of being part of a conspiracy. Now under law, a conspiracy has to be where 2 or more people are involved. But the fact is that every other person that was implicated in this conspiracy has been acquitted. So you can't have one person being convicted of a conspiracy and 2 or 3 people being acquitted of that conspiracy. Either he was part of a conspiracy or he wasn't. He's the only one that's been convicted. The only evidence that stands against him also is that he supposedly confessed to this. But here is a man who was tortured. We have evidence of him being tortured, and the fact is that he says that letter that he supposedly said that, you know, but he very implicated himself. He's saying that was forced out of him. This was a confession which is extracted under duress. It cannot be valid in a court of law. More importantly, he signed that confession with a thumbprint. Now, can this be a person who is actually guilty if he's a professor of engineering at a university and he can't sign his own name? Was he not under duress? This is the reason why the prosecutor himself is saying that the death penalty cannot be implicated in this case, because there's so many flaws inside this judgment. This is why the Sikhs believe that this man actually is not just need to be freed because we should have clemency on him. He needs to be freed because he's actually innocent. I believe the death penalty in this case is immoral, on top of the fact that he shouldn't have been convicted in the first place. The fact is straight. The guy, his doctor now says that he's mentally unfit. He's been 6 years in solitary confinement. This guy needs to be free. He's actually mentally unwell. He needs care. The fact is he's already served 18 years in prison. That's more than a life sentence. Professor Bhullar was actually in Germany seeking asylum. But the German government sent him back to India. And the only reason they sent him back to India was because India made assurances that this guy would not be convicted of death penalty and he would be sent to the gallows and to be hung. Now, how can we have the situation where the Indian government has promised the German government that he's not going to be killed, and yet now they are going to hang him to death? See, this smacks of total disregard for international law as well. What can we as Sikhs do? Can we actually seek for him to be free? Well, actually, under legal law, he's been prosecuted and convicted of a crime, right? So we can't get him out unless we have a re-examination of this case. So what we should be aiming for as a fund is for him to be retried. That should be our mission, retry Professor Bhullar, which will lead to his being freed. It needs to be focused upon this one point. This man is innocent, and what he deserves is a retrial. So when it comes to this stuff, we need to understand how to be effective in what we're doing. What we're not doing right now is being effective for this reason. We're not pointed at one direction. We haven't got a single point of impact. We've got loads of points of impact. Somebody's trying to talk about Balwant Singh. Somebody's talking about Bhai Havara. Somebody's talking about Khalistan. Somebody's talking about the fact that we want him free. We need to focus upon one point, retry the man. Okay? This is where the thinking is not going ahead. So what's happening is we're just milling about.
Vaheguru, Vaheguru.